Good morning, Nova Scotia. Good morning, Canada. This is Scott Yours, and we got another episode of the Wolf and the Neural Network. Let's do it. And just before we get into this one, I want to say just a couple things. This is one of my longer videos, and it was like 100 and some cuts and edits. It's a lot of work, and I don't like doing it. It's hot, and yeah, I hope that all my other videos are going to be much, much shorter than this, and I have plans for them to be. But also inside of this, you're going to see, like, that this one was very upsetting to me, to know what these monsters did and to watch them be so violent and such failures, and then to watch them blame me when I'm being completely rational coming with that. It's terrifying on a human level to know that these kind of monsters exist like that, and they have no ability to face themselves. And it's crazy. But my recommendation to all the Nova Scotia Health employees is that you sue the fucking face off of these people. The reality is these directors, Tim Houston, Justin Trudeau, HRP and stuff, they think that you're fucking animals. They wanted to bring you all into their extortion game, right? They treated you badly. I have no other choice here. When you see the record, I begged and pleaded with them to not do this. I begged and begged them to not do this, right? So it isn't me doing this to you, it's them people doing this to you. Right? They're telling me I better just accept this when these are these big men and they should be able to deal with this, right? But to put it on you and me, it shows you that they think that you're just animals. So keep that in mind. Enjoy the show. All right. So today we're going to talk about March 13, 2023, when Nova Scotia Health Authority had me falsely arrested and kidnapped and tortured again, because they knew they were false facing multi-million-dollar litigation. And then you're going to see the back-end complicity and complacency of RCMP and HRP and CSIS because they all needed to cover this up and so had a shared interest. And you'll see where that shared interest converged. So they all needed Nova Scotia Health Authority to lie. And when you see this, and what we'll do is we'll go back and you'll see in the review I did about the night that my mother died, I detailed exactly what they were going to do perfectly. Okay, so just before, like within the month or so going down to Halifax Regional Police, again, to file my complaint, this is on March 13, 2023. So I was going down to file a complaint, Nova Scotia Health Authority knew this. So just before that, I had begged and pleaded with Nova Scotia Health Authority to get a technical resource in the room. I went over privacy law. I literally said, look, here's recommendations from Privacy Commissioner. I redirected them towards David Fraser, a well-known, one of the Canada's top privacy lawyers, seems to be an all-around good guy, stating, you know what, you need to speak with him. I also redirected Tim Houston his way, you know, talking about privacy law and how it's going to become prohibitively expensive if you don't do something about it soon. But also, it's, you know, starting to open people up for litigation and liability, as such is the case right now with Nova Scotia Health Authority. Right? Think about it. They're investigating themselves and determining they're the victims. And I have all this evidence. Right? They're not fit. They shouldn't be investigating themselves. It most certainly should not be the authority when investigating themselves. Right? They have absolutely no motivation to do anything because Karen Hornberger, being the Director of Privacy and Privacy Officer for Nova Scotia Health Authority, knows this goes against her directors. That right, so it directly interferes with her career if she does something about this. So it's not even safe for Karen Hornberger to deal with this appropriately. It's not safe to her career. It's not safe to any employees working with her, right? So if we consolidate the power under the Privacy Commissioner, well, they have no role in Nova Scotia Health Authority, so they can take it and be at least more objective in theory, and, you know, be able to offer you, Nova Scotians, and or Canadians as a whole, better solutions when it comes to your privacy, a more objective review from the standpoint of privacy and not the standpoint of their liability, which is the way Nova Scotia Health Authority is looking at this. My privacy case is not being treated as a privacy case, or my personal health information is being treated as a case of their personal liability in this. Right? And that's not right. So I said, you know what, contact David Fraser. I provided evidence. That's the best that I could do. And if you think about this, I could have removed Nova Scotia Health Authority from the thread, right? But I didn't because it was the right thing to do to leave them on there. You see, when they hacked my account, or tried to hack my account August 2nd, 2022, What would they have done if they would have got my password? They would have sent out emails making it look like me. And they would have sent out really bad emails like, well, in addition to me being able to prove my GPS location was set to this address in Stillwater, they could make it look like I was anybody, anywhere, and craft a really nasty case against me when I have no control over it. And look how Nova Scotia Health Authority is already rejecting reality and evidence and a technical expert. And then what would Nova Scotia Health Authority and RCMP have done? They would have done much worse. That's right. And if Nova Scotia Health Authority is not responding and is not taking the information seriously, whatever choice do I have? Right? To give them a strong indication of here's who I am. And this is the thing, you can ask every single police officer that showed up here. I've never once was erratic. I was always calm, cool, collected. I was rational. Every single time. Every single time. In fact, I had to calm Jessica down when she came here one day. Another officer had to calm her down, put his hand on her shoulder and say, you need to stop. This is way above our pay grade. Because I was sitting there so fucking calm, cool, and collected. While when she calmed down, I said, okay, now my GPS location was set to this address in Stillwater, Nova Scotia. And she stepped back, and she puts her hands in her hair and is like, well, maybe you're not supposed to know. You cannot trust people that would do and say something like that. See, if I needed to make sure that the record's seen exactly who I am. That's right, and if you check the Charter of Rights before we even get started here, okay? You have the right to send email. Literally, it's in the Charter of Rights. You have the freedom of expression. You have the freedom of conscience. Right? If you look at somebody who's religious, look at how fucking delusional a lot of that is. I don't believe in ghosts, demons, angels, conspiracy theories, alien abduction. Don't believe in any of it. I walk in the dark at night by myself. If I seen something or thought I heard a radio talking, I'd be like, I'd know something's up right away. Right? So you got somebody pleading with Nova Scotia Health Authority, and then what you're going to see is before I walk down to Nova Scotia Health Authority, I let them know I was going. Again, I gave them up to the date, up to the minute updates of where I was at. I sent pictures, gave them my phone number. I requested dozens of times that the privacy officer contact me in regards to my book bag and the events that occurred with the admitting doctor. And then my book bag being sent to Mount Hope before I ever seen the doctor. Which you'll see Karen Hornberger absolutely lied about. 100% undeniably lied. Right? To the point where she's going to have to explain how she's illiterate. And then you'll see that HRP lied, and you'll see that I said, look, they're both going to lie about it, blame each other, and then blame me. And when you see how perfectly they tried to do it, oh my fucking God. It's so embarrassing. I almost wish that they tried something different, so I wouldn't have to dominate them so fucking hard. Anyway. So, the night before going down, I made some signs up that said post media JD Irving and HRP framed and tortured me. And I sent it out to people stating I'm going to go down. And I talked with a bunch of people before going down, guys. Like, they'll tell you I was completely calm, cool, and collected. I never had a problem. Like I said, I included my phone number, said, look, you can contact me. So I'm just going to go quickly through how the day went. So I went down and parked on Queen Street in Halifax, and I walked from there with my sign to CSIS and dropped off evidence. That's right. And then I walked from there. I took pictures stating, you know, now I'm walking down to HRP. So if anybody had a problem, you could stop me, right? So if the police had a problem, they could have stopped me, right? Right. So the police didn't have a problem with what I'm doing. So why did Nova Scotia Health Authority? So either they were all in on it and lied about it, or you can see where this becomes confusing. So then I walked down with my sign to Halifax Regional Police. I don't loiter. I don't stand outside. I never once even shook my sign at anybody or anything. Nothing like that. Nothing. I walked right into Halifax Regional Police. I took a number. I sat there for quite a while, guys. Probably over a half an hour. Completely calm, cool, and collected. I spoke with the woman. Completely respectful. There's a bunch of people were in there. I did nothing wrong. Completely calm. That's right. So I leave Halifax Regional Police after I file my complaint, and I make a recording in my car stating, you know what, today went good. They didn't do anything to me, so this is good.
Well, I have some great news. The police didn't kill me this time, or, torture me, or falsely arrest me, or anything like that. So, that's a positive. I actually get to go home and see my dog tonight. So, yeah, small things, right?
This is good. Right? Maybe I actually have rights as a human being. Yeah, you wait till you see what these fucking monsters did. So, from there, I drove down and I parked a ways up from Irving Shipbuilding, and I just walked down, and I walked from down the road quite a ways to the bridge, and then I walked back up by J.D. Irving, I walked back down to the bridge, and then I walked back up and I sat down for a while. It's quite a walk. I'd walked quite a bit that day. Right? Again, I just stood there with my sign. One fella asked me for a picture, which you'll see becomes important a little bit later on, okay? And that day, I also walked up on Roby Street and walked past CTV News. And I walked back up by. I didn't stop. I didn't engage with anybody. Somebody stopped me and was like, I'm sorry that happened to you. But I went right back to my vehicle. I didn't do anything. I didn't engage with anybody. I didn't loiter. But I wanted to make sure that they seen me. Hi, CTV. So, from there, I get a call from my aunt. She's like, Scott, the RCMP were just here looking for you. I was like, well, they had my phone number and stuff. I did notice a missed call. I didn't block it or anything because I didn't even know who it was. I probably didn't even hear it. I probably had my ringer shut off. So, from there, I drove over. I'd already spoken to a friend. They were expecting me that night. Like, we were talking, laughing. I was like, no, I'm having a good day. They didn't do anything. This is good. This is good. There's no retaliation for filing complaints. So, anyway, so I'm driving, and I get a phone call. And I immediately pull over into the Walmart in Dartmouth Crossing, and it's Jessica from RCMP Sheet Harbor. She's like, Scott, oh, we need to talk, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, about what? And I'm like, this is really inappropriate, Jessica. How many times have I asked you guys to allow me to file a complaint? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? How many? How many times, Jessica? Do I need to ask RCMP to file a complaint? If they can call you once, what rights do I have? And you're going to tell me I'm not less than a human being? Doesn't matter. We'll talk about that later. So, I'm like, this is inappropriate. I wasn't demeaning or anything, but I was like, this is inappropriate. Like, why are you calling me? Why are you showing up at my aunt's house? She's like, Scott, you're arrestable under IPTA. That's right. See, Nova Scotia Health Authority knew I was going. I was like, oh, Jess, gave her my location immediately. She's like, listen, Scott, I tried calling 3 different places to ask them why they're making me do this. She's like, because they met me. They know I was completely calm, cool, and collected. They knew I had all this evidence. I had begged Sheet Harbor Police. I asked Chad from Sheet Harbor Police, can you please file a complaint with Brenda Lucky's office and have somebody contact me? Chad stated, yes, I will absolutely do that. And that was in December 2022. I asked Sheet Harbor Police, I was like, man, who do I report this to? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, the police, it's you, bud. Well, I caught those officers looking around the side of my house, searching my property illegally. They had no reason to be over there. And then looking through my cars, through the windows, out in my yard. And then my door was cracked a little bit. And Buddy tried to just walk right in. I caught him. He's like, well, it was cracked. I thought there was a problem. So literally conducting illegal search and seizures on top of everything they're already doing. Coming here while I'm walking to see my mother, blisters all over my feet. And he's not even allowing me to file complaint. That's right. Anyway, so they call officers, They come over and arrest me. Make me leave my car there, just in a random parking lot, and they just arrest me. And now I'm sitting in the back of a cop car, and here's video of how fucking calm, cool, and collected I was.
So, RCMP hunted me down and said that I'm some mental health threat, and now I'm sitting in the back of an RCMP vehicle. They didn't talk about Dr. Holmes and what she did, the recording, or any of the evidence. I'm like screwed right now.
You want your window down?
It doesn't matter what I do, they're gonna... Anyways, I tried, everyone. Their screen said I'm sending emails that are increasingly delusional.
Is it, actually...
That's right, it's that bad. Like, if they're not, they're full technical audits, and these people are lying, and they're gonna torture me right now. I'm in a lot of trouble. I'm screwed. I'm screwed. It doesn't...
I seen the screen, and if you seen what that fucking director... Now, this was... Jessica's like, Scott, I called 3 different departments. She's like asking why they're making me do this. That's right, it came from a director from Nova Scotia Health Authority. That's right. Now remember, Tim Houston installed the board of directors. And remember the night he showed up the night my mother died? That's right, everyone. So, they take me over to... They take me over to QE2. I'm completely fucking calm. The officer's like, this guy's completely fine. Because I was.
They know they're lying.
I get out and we go in and, you know, they get me like registered or whatever, and I waited some time, and then I had to speak to the young fella that was there. And he took me into a room. I'm like, man, this is really inappropriate. You got the police saying that this should absolutely be with the police. So before that, I talked with the officers. I was like, look, I've got all this evidence, like my GPS location and stuff. Like, I'm just asking to file a complaint. Shouldn't the police be taking this complaint? Every single officer agreed. I only had to show them a little bit of the evidence and talk about it. I'm like, look, I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to just be objective and think about it in terms of evidence. And every officer agreed. I was like, look, listen, this is so inappropriate right now that, like, every officer saying that this should be with the police. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm legally allowed to send emails. Is there anything threatening it? Absolutely not. That's right. Nothing at all. So why am I now being fucking... Right? Because they were facing multi-million-dollar litigation and they all needed to frame me again. That's why. And, hell, one of the emails was asking DFO to watch the rivers here for fish. That's right. So fucking dangerous. Big dangerous fucking man. I was like, look, this is really inappropriate. And he's like, no, if you don't talk about it, you're basically just going to be locked up. So here I am, being compelled as a witness against myself. For somebody who's judge, jury, executioner, right? So where's the due process in that? There absolutely is none. And now, if he sides with me, he has to go against that director who issued a hit piece. That's right. Now, the admittance to IPTA is to be based on facts and evidence, right? It's got to be based on evidence. So, I was like, look, I have no other choice than to tell you exactly what happened. And I was like, okay, I'll admit my bias. I say it's aimed for 70%. I only used 1% for each event. I inflated it. I gathered a massive amount of data points. I stated I'm a technical expert. I maintained this was not all about me, as you can see in my different bits of evidence. While stating I'm a technical expert and went over my experience and where I have worked. I stated what happened before, that they falsely arrested me. And then I stated with Dr. Holmes recording her, and he's like right there, he's like, are you recording right now? And I said, maybe. He's like, I think we should just end it right there. Right? Really think about this here. I'm being compelled as a witness against myself. I'm completely subjected to his subjective experience in this. He knows he can't assess this. He's not a technical expert. Obviously, he's incredibly prejudiced and biased. And they're threatening me with imprisonment if I don't talk about this in extreme violence. But he's worried about just being recorded for the few words that he's getting paid to say, when I'm going to be tortured for the truth and evidence. Amazing. So they take me out and I'm sitting back out there with the officers, and now he comes back with 2 other women and they're saying, did you record that? Did you record that? You're not allowed to record that. And I said, actually I am. And I said, it's called the one-party consent law, and I talked about 184 in the criminal code. And stated, this is what I stated to their employees. I explained to Karen Hornberger's employees, her job. I stated that, yeah, it's a problem. It could be a problem, and it is usually a problem if I were to court out here in the common area. Right? But even that's kind of up for debate but recording in a room by ourselves, closed doors, I'm absolutely entitled to that. And I was like, here's the laws. And I'm like, can you please present your policy? They're like, no, we don't have a policy. I'm like, and they're saying, no, it's for our privacy. For our privacy. They said it 4 or 5 different times. That's right. Now, if you check the CMPA website, it clearly states that you are allowed to record your physician. Again, and this is in addition to actual privacy law and the criminal code. Because they're lying. And they stated if I record them, they will have my phone physically removed. Alright, so I'm sitting there with the officer for a while. And I need to say something to this officer that I sat with. Thank you. Thank you for being a good man. Like I said, I never asked anybody to agree with me, and you certainly did not. But you also didn't shut me down. You didn't treat me like less than a human being. You treated me with decency, and you treated me with respect, and you held your ground on different types of beliefs and stuff like that. And I respect that as a man. Like when you said, yes, Scott, he's like, this is pretty convincing evidence, but the fact is I don't know where this is coming from. And I'm like, good. That's the kind of critical mind that you need. I'm not asking you to just agree with me. I'm asking you to be critical. That's it. And that's you being critical. That's good. Right? And I'm going to take this like a step further because I think that it's appropriate. I want to talk to his wife. He didn't mention your name or anything like that, but I need to say this. He talked about trying to be a better man, and he talked about how much you helped him be a better man. And I could tell by the way that this guy talked about you that he respected you, he appreciated you, and he fucking loved you. And I want to tell you, I want to say to you, thank you for helping him be a better man. Thank you for whatever it is you're doing that he appreciates you so much. All right? Because that's the kind of cop that we need. That's the kind of cop that can help fix these broken systems. That's a good man. And you helped him be a good man. And because of that, he didn't degrade me or terrorize me that night. I'm not saying without you he would, but I'm saying that you contributed to that. And to both of you, as human beings, thank you. Thank you. And my recommendation to Halifax Regional Police and to Nova Scotia Health Authority is that if there's a promotion available, this man should absolutely receive a promotion. He treated me with dignity and respect, and he was a respectful, dignified human being. That's the last I'll say on that. Thank you. Now, I sat with him for a while, and we just talked about random bro stuff. And at one point, a woman came up to us. She must have heard us talking. And she came up, and she's like, I really hope that you're able to get through whatever this is. Because she probably seen me being a decent, calm, rational human being. So, something to note here, that is when the officer took me to the bathroom, I did find 2 people recording me from another room with microphones. They were around the corner like this recording me. I suspect it's because when I'd walked down to J.D. Irving, that it probably went on social media and stuff, and people probably realized and recognized the situation. I don't know, but it did happen. And I feel those people were trying to like protect me in some way because they could. Anyways, I think I was in like handcuffs for like 6 hours or something like that. I get taken in with the woman who's going to be the admitting psychologist, I guess. And she states that no, I'm not allowed to record, and if I do try to record, they will have it physically removed from me and I will just be admitted. That's right, but she's going to take a handwritten record. And now I'm in a room with being recorded with 2 cameras. So what's the problem with me recording? This is my personal health information, right? If I'm crazy or incapacitated, wouldn't it help for me to be able to hear myself afterwards? It would. Right? And she doesn't have that right to privacy like that, and that's what the reason she's stating she's doing this. So now she's compelling me as a witness against myself, where she is judge, jury, and executioner, where she is clearly prejudiced and biased. She's not allowing me to record. Well, she's going to insist on her recording her version of events. When if we would have just allowed it to be recorded, which I was okay and obviously consenting to and asking for fairness, then we'd all know exactly what happened, right? Right. Well, I even stated to her, look, I know how you're going to take this. Showing again, I understand what's happening right now, but I have no other choice but to speak about the evidence. And think about this. She can't prove in any way that I sent those emails. Right? Has absolutely no proof of any of it. Furthering my point about what they would do if somebody had done something pretending to be me. Right now, I sent the emails. I assume, right? I don't know. I didn't see them. But that's my point, right? And I've got this evidence of Valent Legal and Burschel's and these people being hacked, my account trying to be hacked and being locked the morning I walked down to HRP. This is serious incident, evidence of serious federal crimes right up until walking down to HRP, but showing their intentions of trying to get access to my accounts. And this person here is now going to judge me based on what? It's incredibly inappropriate. So, I again go through the spiel about my bias. I first said how inappropriate it was, that this should be with the police and she shouldn't be doing this, that she doesn't have the tools or the education to be able to do this, and it's not right that they put us in this situation. It's not right that they put her in this situation. She's not a technical expert, I am. So how's she going to evaluate any of this? And she's forcing me to talk about it. She's forcing a technical expert to talk about something, and then she's going to sit there and tell them that they're wrong, when she knows she's not a technical expert. So I explained my bias, I go through it, and said, like, look, I know what you're going to think of me, and I could lie to you right now. But the way the law's written is like, if I'm going to state the evidence and the facts, because that's the way admittance is supposed to be based on, right? So I did. She stops me and says, you're obviously making up dates and connections. I'm like, what dates and connections? I'm talking about my bias 70%, using 1% to inflate certain events. Can you please be specific about a date? Maybe I can clarify for you. And she's like, well, no, I can't. So what date and connection am I making up then? Where am I being unreasonable? This person can't tell me. I'm sitting there completely calm, cool, collected. I'm respectful and dignified the entire time. I'm sure that officer will say the same thing. See, when him and I were talking earlier, I was like, man, you know what they're going to do. She's just going to take me in there, say I'm making all this up. She won't let me record. She won't let me do anything because they need to claim plausible deniability. And he's like, why do you think that, Scott? I'm like, because they know they're facing multi-million-dollar litigation. And if you actually see the emails they're talking about, I said that they're going to do exactly what we're doing right now. It's the fact that they didn't read it. I even called it a memory overflow exploit, relating the strategy to software hack. So she's like, I need to go call somebody for another opinion. So now you're going to go tell somebody your biased version of events when you know you just created a fake record, and then you're going to get them confirmation bias, engage in obvious confirmation bias, And you can't even recognize your own fucking prejudice and bias in that situation. Nor can you even measure your cognitive dissonance. That I'm a technical expert. You can't possibly evaluate that. These police are saying this should be with the police. I'm completely calm, cool, and collected. That's right. This is a dangerous fucking human being. That's right. She knows that if she says no, this guy's fine, he's being rational, she has to go against that director. And what does that do for her career? That's right. That director issued a hit piece based on their prejudice, bias, and ignorance, based on them wanting to try to cover up for a multi-million-dollar litigation and their direct ties to Tim Houston. So, she goes out, and the officer comes in, and I'm talking with him. I'm like, man, like, look, thank you for being such a good guy. Thank you so much. You know, I'm just going to ask you that for the rest of the night while you're here, can you please just stay with me? And I was like, you know what she's going to do. It doesn't matter what I have to say. It doesn't matter how rational I am. He's like, why do you think that? I'm like, because they're facing multi-million-dollar litigation. She's going to come back and say, I'm just making it all up so she can claim plausible deniability by contacting this other person. Right? That's what she'll do. And anyway, so she came back and she's like, yeah, I'm going to keep you. You're making up dates and connections. I didn't say anything to her. I just looked at him and I went, I told you so. Because it wasn't based on evidence and facts. It was based on prejudice and bias and them knowing that they're facing multi-million-dollar litigation. Right? And he looked at me and he looked at her. So she said this, something, you'll be going to Abbey Lane or something. And he looked at her and said, I need to talk to you outside for a minute. He didn't say it aggressively or anything like that. But any rational person, any decent human being who were to see what was happening would have a problem with it. The facts are that was not a decent, rational, or intelligent human being. That thing couldn't even recognize its own prejudice, bias, and confirmation bias. Couldn't measure its cognitive dissonance. It was an abject fucking failure. I'm a technical expert. And she thought she was just greater than a technical expert. She took a false fucking record. Can't even explain why something is made up when I can answer every single question in detail. Right? She can't. That's delusional. If I did that, she'd state I was delusional. So she's delusional. That's right, because of her own prejudice and what bias and her wants and needs and her fear, she was delusional. 100%. And her as a psychologist not being able to recognize that? That's dangerous. That is what gives healthcare workers a bad name. And it's dangerous to every single person that ever comes in contact with that woman. It proves that she will just lie, cheat to further her delusions and her prejudice and her bias. And if she's not being told and shown that, what's she going to do to the next person? What's she's going to do to your kids? Right? That person can't be fucking trusted. Especially if they can't admit to how prejudiced and biased they were in the moment. And the fact that they compelled somebody as a witness against themselves and wouldn't even allow them to record, stating it's for their privacy. And then you see what they did next. So she took off and nobody came back. I'm left in this small room in the QE2. Anybody can walk in. I'm told to sleep here. I don't have blankets. Look at the video. I'm now being recorded for 24 hours in this room. Anybody can just walk in. And they're talking about their privacy when they don't even have a policy. And they're lying about being able to record your physician. They don't even know what they're talking about.
So on top of like not allowing me to record anything, telling me I don't have the right to, this is the bed I get. I get this little sheet and this to lay in. That's right. So they can record me while I just lay in here. That's right. I'm an animal. I don't have rights.
So I wake up in the morning. They bring me a muffin and a piece of cheese. Again, anybody could have just walked in as I'm sleeping. Where's the privacy in that? Where's the dignity in that? There is none. And I'm being recorded for 24 hours. So in the morning, a woman came in, and she's like, oh, why were you protesting outside of Halifax Regional Police yesterday? I said, I wasn't protesting. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I was like, I walked right in there. I'm like, why would you say that? Because they obviously needed to lie and come up with a fucking reason, right? So these people had no idea even what they were writing down. So think about that. As a doctor, you're just making things up. And then you're telling me I'm making things up, but I can answer every question. What kind of fucking people do that? Monsters who can't face their own delusions. That's who. And I stated that if you're going to make me talk about this, I have no choice but to state it in terms of evidence. So I did. And she's like, well, she's like, this seems pretty detailed. She's like, you'll have to wait till you go upstairs to Abbey Lane. You'll tell them. I'm like, because they're in a position to be able to deal with this. When even the police are saying this should be with the police and not with these people. Fucking idiots. So, it's coming towards late in the afternoon, and my aunt and uncle are like, Scott, why do they have you locked up? We've been trying to contact them, and they're being weird about it, not allowing us to... They're trying to tell us that you agreed to be in there. It's like, I didn't agree to be in here. They're like, no, we're coming to see you. We're coming to see you. And anyway, so they come to see me. And the first thing they did, I didn't mention the cameras. And they're like, Scott, you're being recorded. What the fuck is going on? I'm like, I know. My aunt wouldn't even close the fucking door. She's like, no. She's like, something is clearly going on here. The way these people are acting, keeping you in a recorded room. And nobody would ever consent to being recorded for over 24 hours. Nobody. Now, this is important because Karen Hornberger is telling me I must have deserved it. That's right. You see the law, 184, and the fact they didn't have a policy, me talking about my rights. You see all of this. You see the information that Karen Hornberger herself signed off on. She's telling me I must have deserved it. When those employees aren't saying it's for a therapeutic session, they're saying it's for their privacy. Karen Hornberger is stating she would agree to be recorded for over 24 hours. She's stating it's not communication. That's right, all my body language, all my text messages. That's right. You see, we're going to do an in-depth review of Karen Hornberger because 184 distinguishes between acoustic and electromagnetic. Right? Because you could film somebody's screen, which is their electronic communication. And you're not party to that communication. Right? If I was speaking sign language, that's communication. Karen Hornberger doesn't believe it's communication. So what is she going to do for those people who are disabled? Karen Hornberger believes that subtitles are not communication. That's right. This woman has no fucking idea what she's fucking talking about. She doesn't know the implication of the words that spew out of her mouth. She doesn't even understand the very documentation she signed off on. It's a fucking embarrassment. And I gotta sit here and explain it to her and her fucking staff and educate her with pretty little pictures? What a fucking embarrassment. Right? And here's the other thing. When you're locked up, they don't put cameras in your room. You know why? Because you're entitled to privacy. That's right. Karen Hornberger is just an awful, all-around awful, incompetent human being. I mean, it's a fucking embarrassment. And to call herself a privacy officer? I could do her job better than her. Look at me, I'm a technical fucking expert. I have to take time to explain to her in pretty little fucking pictures what she signed. Oh my fucking God. So anyway, from there, so my aunt and uncle left, and now they come in and say, we're sending you to Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. 4 hours away in the middle of a snowstorm. 12-hour round trip for any of my family to come see me. That's right. When you look at the IPTA, it states that you are to be admitted as close to home as possible. That's right. So now it's supposed to be facts and evidence. It's not based on facts and evidence. She's telling me I'm making up dates and connections. Now I'm supposed to be left close to home as possible. Now I'm being shipped 12 hours away. Well, the IPTA states that any person must be treated with dignity and respect. I was left recorded in a room for 24 hours. Anybody could just walk in. All I'm being fed is a muffin and a piece of cheese. While the lights are left on and I'm not even given a blanket. That is not dignity and respect. And now, when I get there, they take my phone. Now, this is important. Because, and I didn't fight it or anything like that, because you'll see what I said they were going to do the night that my mother died. By removing evidence and my ability to be able to defend myself, they can all claim plausible deniability. Which is also consistent with them deleting the Emmett contracts and RCMP pretending they didn't know. That's right. And I even talked about RCMP saying, oh, well, plausible deniability, but there's nothing we could do. You'll see it. I talked about it the night in that document. Like, it was so spookily accurate. It shows you that this is machinery. It's not coincidence. Also in the document regarding the morning my mother had died, you'll see talking about the video and how easy it would be for somebody to stitch a video, and RCMP would just say, well, we couldn't have known, which is a reasonable statement, right? And then knowing all these different players were involved, right? I talked about it very logically and reasonably. But you see me questioning why they would feel so comfortable and confident in doing that. And it wasn't until April 19th, 2023 that I found out about Tim Houston installing the board of his directors, basically his buddies, right? So when you look at this, it's completely reasonable and logical. Nova Scotia Health Authority is facing multi-million-dollar litigation. A lot of these people are facing personal liability. So they all had control of that. And this just shows you that this is machinery, right? How did they know where I was at, when I was at? Because all these players are involved. It's machinery, and you see all the evidence to back it. Well, note, to show how consistent I am and how this is machinery, is note my document that was sent to Nova Scotia Health Authority and all these people on April 8th. That's what I've been referencing, April 8, 2023. And that was 1 week after I spoke with Jessica and RCMP and gave them time again to quietly resolve this and ask them to please do so. And I didn't find out about Tim Houston until April 19th, 2023. So it would have been 11 days later. That's right. And I made that prediction about why they did it and sent me to the black man. Because this is machinery. Right? And you'll see the next part of this, why this is so accurate. Because now, they send me to their token black psychologist. Go back to Tim Houston, installing the board and his buddies. Go back to him showing up the night that my mother died. Right? He was being criticized because he removed the diversity from the board and installed his buddies. And this is all about the right kind of white. And now they're sending me to their token black psychologist. Now, statistically, the best I could find is like an American statistics up that there's 5.1% of psychologists are black. So what is that? Basically a 1 in 20 chance that they're going to send me to a black man? That's right. If you guys had to bet on that, what would you bet? You'd bet that I would get somebody else, right? That's statistically much more probable. Since they sent me so far away, a 12-hour round trip for my family or anybody to come see me, I didn't have a change of clothes. Their washing machine wasn't working, so I had to wear the same clothes for like 4 days. And then I finally got access to the lost and found, and all they had were like extra large clothes, so I looked like a giant fucking flying squirrel. And I had to wash like my underwear, my socks, and my shirts and stuff in the sink in my room and get them dried out in the room. So now, this guy, he's like, oh, it's not what the things you're talking about now. It's your behavior. So now, you go back to Dr. Holmes stating it's not your behavior, it's the things you're talking about. You got this person who admitted me said that I'm making up dates and connections, and now this guy saying, no, it's not those dates and connections, it's how you're dealing with it. Right? Moving the goalpost to try to justify what they did because they're facing multi-million-dollar litigation. And I was like, well, who do I take this to? I didn't talk about evidence. I said, look, I'm not talking about this. The police said that this should be with the police, and you agreed, so this should be with the police. This is super inappropriate. So I asked him, then how should I deal with this? And he's like, I don't know. You're going to tell somebody they're not dealing with something properly, but you can't tell them how to deal with it? Well, all I'm doing is sending emails that are completely in context, completely educational, completely cited with every single resource, including my bias. These people have terrorized me and my family, hunted and stalked children. Right? True terrorism. I have done nothing except inform everybody and tell everybody exactly where I'm going, when and where, and plead with the police to allow me to open a case. But I'm dealing with this wrong. It takes a special piece of fucking human garbage to say something like that to somebody, especially when they can't tell you then how to deal with it. Now, this guy talks about how he's religious. That's right. This guy now believes in ghosts, demons, reincarnation, angels. Full-blown delusional psychosis. Tells me that it must just be my genetics. That's right. All these facts and evidence, me begging and pleading, it's my genetics. Because of my dead mother. That's right. All of this is genetics because of my dead mother. All this evidence. Couldn't leave her the fuck alone. That's right. Look at the history where people just said it's some made-up invisible ghost. It must just be. Right? Look what they did to blacks. Look what they did to gay people because they're just inferior because of their genetics. I don't believe in ghosts, demons, angels. I don't believe in alien abductions. I don't believe in conspiracy theories. You won't find a single instance of it. Not one. In fact, in my work, you'll see me talking about Gabby Vandenberg and stuff and stating I don't believe in this conspiracy theory bullshit. Don't jump to conclusions. Be critical. And now you got this guy who believes in these fucking full-blown delusional, he engages in full-blown delusional psychosis, knows the damage that his specific version of delusional psychosis has caused this world. Billions of people murdered and tortured in the fucking eyes of religion. Worst atrocities humanity will ever face or ever record committed in the name of delusional psychosis of religion. And you got this man here telling me that it's ghosts and demons, made up genetics that must be the fucking problem and not these right kinds of white. And now using that same broken logic and that same delusional psychosis to now justify the severe violence that's been used against me. You can't make this up if you tried. While he stated basically, oh, so you're not going to say anything against J.D. Irving. Exactly, a condition so that I don't get locked up again. You can see what they're trying to do. And now when you look at what RCMP then said, when I brought that up.
And they told me, Jessica, that if I even mention J.D. Irving, they will have me fucking arrested and pumped full of drugs.
I hope you see the theme and what's actually going on here. Holy shit, right? And here's the thing. I can't say anything to him because he's black. So they sent me to a black man because I couldn't say anything about not being the right kind of white. Because he just agrees with it. When everybody knows that if he goes against this, he has to go against those directors, doesn't he? That's right, and how does that work for his career? So now he's going to get anything he wants. Now, as a white man, if I were to send somebody, a black person, to a white person, and then because they knew they couldn't say anything against him, what would that be considered? A hate crime. A race-based, race-motivated hate crime. And that's what I consider this. Absolutely a fucking hate crime. So I'm kept there. The staff were really kind to me and stuff. We never had a problem. I'm sure they'll say I was completely calm, cool, and respectful the entire time. They commented on how easy I fell asleep. Again, made me take drugs that chemically castrate you. Then they give me my aunt and uncle was like calling. They're like saying, why are you doing this? Like his car almost got towed. Like, how's he going to get home? So they ended up paying $800 for a fucking taxi voucher to send me back to Ecum Secum. That's right. I was treated worse than a fucking animal. I have no fucking rights. This was all to cover up what they did so they could justify what they did originally. Covering up for Dr. Holmes so she doesn't lose her fucking license, and covering up for these corrupt police officers. They knew exactly what they were doing. They knew they could have called me. They could have had their privacy officer contact me. The RCMP could have filed a complaint. So many other ways to resolve this. That's right. But they needed to protect these right kinds of white. They needed to protect these directors. And if they had this guy lie on the record, a black man, what can I do? That's right. This was a race-based and race-motivated attack against me and my family. And that's everything for today. I hope that was entertaining and educational and informative. I know it's a little bit long, but you know I have to get this all down on. And again, if you'd like to see the entire thing, here's the link to it. Feel free to go and look at it. Read for yourself to see how consistent I've been. And make up your own mind, right? Be critical. That's all that I can ask of you. Thank you and take care.